Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
We've gotten a distress signal here from Canis Lunis, and I need you to check it out, Buzz.
A distress signal? Well, golly gee whiz, we better find out what it is. And, yeah. This is, quite bizarre, because this is surprisingly graphic transformation for a show for the Wiians. I mean, again, the fact that they can get away with this at all is probably down on the fact that, again, it is pretty much meant to be a mechanical werewolf, but, you know, they actively show him, like, physically transforming, his facial bones transforming into a robotic werewolf, so that is surprisingly graphic, as we enter Canis Lunis 2. What a horrible night to have a curse.
By the Galactic Alliance, I order you to stop. Or run away and I'll chase you down, that works too.
Okay, so now we're really getting into it. What is by far the worst level in the game, despite having a very cool concept, and in turn a more interesting enemy to boot. So, yeah, first of all, things to show, in terms of positive things. Yeah, the reason why I'm shooting this LGM is because he's a traitor to Star Command. Actually, no, it's just to prove the fact that, again, if you shoot these LGMs enough, yeah, they actually blow up, and you can't get the, LGM token thing. Kind of an odd detail that they put it in the game, and the fact that they take a lot of hits means that either somebody at Traveler's Tales really didn't like the LGMs from Toy Story, or, I don't know, they were just wondering if players would be curious enough to shoot them. Oh well. But yeah, the thing about Canis Lunis is that, unlike any other level in the game, this is the point in the game where somebody at Traveler's Tales thought, let's do a unique level thing, except not really. Again, you're still pretty much chasing people to the end of the level, but this one requires you to destroy a set amount of enemies before progressing to the next stage, and as you can tell, your time limit is dependent entirely on the bombs, and as you can see here, yeah, I cut it quite finely. Something that you're going to find you're going to be doing a fair bit throughout this level because of the fact that, yeah, as you can tell, you can't really discern what amount of time you really have. Well, okay, you can discern what amount of time, what I should have said is that you can't really discern how many enemies you need to destroy, where in which they'll spawn up, in order for you to defeat them, and therefore open the door to progress forward. In a smarter developed game, they would have had an enemy count saying, defeat X amount of Hornets/Zerg robots to continue. This game doesn't, and that becomes a bit of a problem, because you don't have an indication of how many enemies that you need to defeat before continuing, and again, unlike something like, say, Shadow the Hedgehog, where the game would at least tell you how many enemies you need to destroy, you're pretty much shit out of luck, so you're going around these large, sprawling, Doom-esque hallways, just looking for things to kill, in the hopes that you can pretty much get to the end of the stage before time runs out and the bombs detonate. And, yeah, the fact that you don't really have an enemy count is really my biggest bugbear with it, but in turn, it's also not a very fun stage to play, because, I mean, the gunplay is very simplistic. There's not really a lot of nuance to it. Again, the fact that you don't have a lock-on, my continual biggest bugbear, is also a factor that plays into this, and in turn, you don't really get a lot of interesting weapons to play with here. All you really get is just, your basic plasma gun that turns into a spread shotgun with the more plasma guns that you pick up, but that's really about it. I mean, you do get the submachine gun style laser weapon that you've seen on Joad and plenty of other parts of the game, but again, you don't really get many other weapons to really experiment with, so you don't really get a lot of fun weapons to play with. You don't really get much of an interesting spin on the level apart from destroy X amount of enemies that you don't really know how many you need to destroy. And as soon as we get into the boss fight, well, the werewolf is interesting in that it doesn't use guns to attack Buzz. That's also a bit of a problem in the sense that you gotta keep track of where it is, and well, we'll be seeing that just as soon as we get there, but in the meantime though, this level is, I mean, it's the most difficult one in the game, but it's also partially due to a lacking design philosophy, which it kind of strikes me as too little too late. Like, somebody had an idea of, you know, maybe we could have, like, a bunch of varietized different levels, but they just either it was too far in development that they couldn't really remove it without making the game even shorter than it already is, or they just sort of figured, fuck it, whatever, we'll just throw it in there, late game level, difficult. And again, it really strikes me as the one level of the game that was really untested compared to everything else. I mean, the rest of the game is, again, flawed though it may be, is at least relatively solid. They had an idea of what they wanted to do and stuck to it. This level just sort of feels like an experiment that they just half-assed and left in there. Maybe it could have been refined with a bit more development time, but I sincerely doubt Activision or Disney, Pixar or whatever were willing to give them that time, so as such, we're pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place. And that's kind of a shame, really, because, I mean, it wastes a potentially cool premise, I should say, of having, you know, Buzz chase down this rampant werewolf that, I don't know, maybe you could have, I don't know, rescued some civilians trapped on the Canis Lunis base, or maybe some space rangers help you out here and there or something, but really you don't get much of anything, so yeah, it just turns this level into a bit of a wash, and okay, I haven't really seen the episode that's related to this, like, cyborg werewolf dude, so is Zerg responsible for this, or is this something else entirely? But I don't know, that's just neither here nor there in this case. I will say this though, like, I mean, the time limit you are given in order to destroy a lot of the robots, again, it is fairly tight, but it does straddle the line of being, you know, a fair, decently accomplishable goal in which to achieve. Again, you have a fairly generous time limit of at least, like, 1 minute 30, and again, you can destroy these enemies fairly quickly so that you can progress to the next area. It's just a matter of knowing where in which they spawn up, which again, you can't usually tell until you get close enough to them. Like, I mean, again, you really got to explore every inch of the hallways in which you, well, call them hallways, but they're pretty much just giant warehouse storerooms. You need to explore every square inch of every room you're in, and if you don't explore it thoroughly enough, well, then you're pretty much buggered, and that can be of a bit of contention when you're in very twisty hallways where enemies can just sort of pop up unannounced and you're running around desperately trying to kill them, but then you don't find them, and then you only have 5 seconds left to go. So then you just barely make it, and makes you nearly lose your cool, because you're so stressed in a dress. Because Mrs. Nesbit. And if you're wondering why I'm saying random stuff, primarily it's because, well, I just finished rewatching the original Toy Story movie, which, surprise, surprise, actually held up pretty decently. I wasn't really too sure what I was gonna think rewatching it, but I don't know, playing through this game again just kinda gave me a hankering to rewatch the movie, and again, again, it was well worth a rewatch, and I can see why it was one of those movies that I just really enjoyed during my childhood. It's homely. Reminds me of home. But yeah, this is also where a lot of the Sonic cars sort of get caught up in the level terrain. Really begins to rear its ugly head, and I don't know why this happens. It's not like again, it's not even like there's like hard-coded geometry that slows you down or anything. It's just the fact that they program a wall there, and I guess because this game does have a slight, you know, momentum terrain physics engine in play here, that the game just sort of doesn't really know how to sort of intuit your movements when it comes to something that's like a flat surface compared to, you know, an incline. Again, that probably sounds like very waffly game design terminology, but I mean, what I'm saying is that, again, when you collide at least, like, when you skirt an edge, like, say if you skirt the edge of that crate over there, again, Buzz will pretty much, like, gradually slow down to a halt when you're trying to go around it, which makes it a bit of a pain in the ass, especially given that Buzz has more of a turning radius as opposed to turning on a dime, as I mentioned all the way back in part 1, so yeah, just all these little nicks and needle pricks just become a little bit more irritating, especially in this level when you really need to haul ass and put a stop to the bombs. Although, really, how exactly this feral werewolf creature even activates the bombs themselves is an odd duck to say the least. I mean, it can't be Zerg who's activating these, because he isn't even anywhere near here, and he pretty much comes into play in the next level, so yeah, next part we'll pretty much, I mean, to kind of talk about anything else, if in lieu of anything else to say, next part we are pretty much finishing the game, so look forward to that. On a second note, yeah, this level is pretty much all Canis Lunis, because, yeah, if you're expecting a second run-through, fuck that. I've never done it before, and I've never done it since, because, whew. I have no idea how the hell I got past this level as a kid, but all I can say is that I had a lot of free time back then, and, well, a lot of time to sort of waste fighting werewolves and being the joy of Star Command. And I suppose to talk about anything else so we can while away the wee hours of destroying robots, yeah, there is actually a difficulty selection to this game. There's Ranger and Cadet, which I guess is either meant to be like easy and... It's either easy or normal and hard mode. I'm guessing Cadet is probably meant to be easy, but I'm not too sure in this case. But anyway, the only real difference between the two difficulty modes is the amount of damage you take, so really... Again, it's not like the developers really put any effort into, like, oh, maybe we could subtly change the level design here so more powerful enemies show up and this particular spot, or, you know, maybe some pathways are harder to get in this spot. Again, there's no real dynamics in terms of difficulty, so really it's just kind of a wee bit pushed, to be honest. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up! There's a bomb and we're all gonna die! Anyway. I wonder if the Media Nerds uploaded a new Spider-Man part. Well, I'll have to check that later as soon as this part's rendered, but in the meantime, however... Oh god, the bullet hell, the bullet hell! Yes, the baby Jesus first bullet hell. What a shame. Whee! Even though this is getting me further away from the end of the level. Oh Jesus, that might have cost me a little bit, and whew. Oh, I saw a bit of pop in there. Tut tut, Traveler's Tales. You mildly okayish developers whose only real claim to fame these days is mainly just doing LEGO games. I mean, which is simultaneously a bit of a shame, but also kind of, at least they found their niche kind of dealio, because, yeah, Traveler's Tales, they made some good games, they made some bad ones, and, overall they are very solid developers, although it is kind of a shame that they basically carved themselves a niche of, just, you do the LEGO games, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, don't expect any more Haven Call of King, any unique takes on, 3D platformers, or anything else like that. I mean, I think the last, like, non-LEGO game project they ever ended up making was a movie tie-in game to the 2007 Transformers movie, but yeah, even then, that's about it, so, kinda lame, to be honest. I mean, especially given the fact that Traveler's Tales have had their hands in some pretty high-profile projects. I mean, well, okay, maybe Sonic 3D Blast or whatever isn't really considered high-profile, but, you know, you get the idea.
Okay, let's get busy.
And this right here, you're pretty much going to be seeing exactly why this werewolf thing isn't much of a threat. Again, its only real method of attacking you is pretty much doing happy slaps with that whole, like, 4 to 5 year old kid going, I'll harm you, and leaving it mainly up to just the Hornets or the laser turrets to pretty much pick up the slack in terms of, pipping off Buzz's health, because you can easily just, sidestep and strafe out of the way, and even then, it doesn't even look that interested in Buzz. The wolf is just pretty much just buggering about the arena on a fucking sugar rush. Meanwhile, the only thing you really need to worry about is the turrets who are actively aiming for you, so... Yeah, a potentially cool and rather dangerous boss fight that could have been like a potential, like, slight horror thing, kind of akin to Nosferatu, was kind of thrown by the wayside, really, so... Yeah, this is just kind of pathetic, to be honest. But I mean, in the meantime, though, you're pretty much just, you know, destroying a fair bunch of these turrets, getting some galactic credits, and making sure that you have enough so that you can use the electric weapon, take out one of his shields, then take out another one of his shields, and bada bing, you do the thing without very much strategy involved, which is really the thing that I have to talk about this boss fight. The only real strategy they have is, let's incentivize the player using different weapons by having the shields. You take out one shield, then you take out another, then you switch to another weapon, and that's pretty much it, really. I mean, I will say that in terms of the Mega Man comparison, it does kind of pay itself dividends towards that sort of philosophy where, again, you're pretty much switching between different weapons to, you know, tackle the boss's weakness, but there isn't really a lot of that Mega Man-esque sort of strategy involved where, you know, you can easily cheese boss fights or, you know, cut out certain attack phases in that Mega Man X kind of way, so... I don't know, it just makes potentially cool bosses feel like a bit of a wash, which... I mean, I suppose to fans of the series might seem a bit disappointing, considering the fact that... I mean, at the very least, even in concept, this whole cyborg werewolf dude is pretty cool, and as you're seeing here, yeah, the guy actually used to be a space ranger, so... Yeah, we could have had, like, some really cool emotional stakes here, even if just for gameplay's sake, but on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and next time we finish off Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Catch you later.